Hello everybody. We're dwindling down in the last couple of weeks of winter, and I thought it would be great to make one of my favorite soups, a Tuscan soup. Let me introduce the ingredients that you need to make this very simple dish. I have around a quarter pound of pancetta. You could also use bacon. I have around a pound and a half of hot Italian sausage, some garlic cloves, and rosemary. I have a half a pound of kale. I have one large chopped red onion. You could use a white onion. I prefer red, but either would be fine. I have around 6 large potatoes. You could use red potatoes, white potatoes, whatever potato you prefer. And you just kind of dice them up really fine like this. That way they get nice and soft in the soup. I have one 16-ounce can of cannellini beans. And you're gonna need 6 cups of chicken stock. So I have my chicken stock mix, my measuring cup, and I also will add 1 cup of heavy cream to the dish. And you also need some olive oil in order to get the dish started. So let's get started with the dish. Okay, I'm gonna add some olive oil to the Dutch oven here. Nice big pot. The heat's been on, so it won't take much time for that to warm up. I'm gonna grab my wooden spoon, and we're gonna start by putting in a quarter pound of pancetta. The goal for this is to just add some great flavor to the dish. We're gonna sweat this down, make sure all the fat is released, and it will add a really nice flavor to the dish. So this will take around 3 to 4 minutes for it to get golden brown, and then I will remove it and begin browning the sausage. Okay, the pancetta has been cooking for around 3 to 4 minutes. You can see it's gotten nice and brown. The next step is for us to remove this, and I'm going to take the hot Italian sausage out of the casing, and I'm going to cook it in the pan. We're going to remove this pancetta. Put it on the side, and we'll reintroduce it after the hot Italian sausage cooks. Reason being is you don't want this to get completely too crispy, and it just will be not the right thing to do for the dish. All right, here we go. I'm gonna start taking these sausages out of the casing, and we're just gonna brown this sausage, put it into little chunks. The dishwasher. So you're going to cook this down, making sure that all the sausage is cooked well before we get into the next step. And I'm going to chop these sausage pieces up with a wooden spoon a bit. I'm just trying to do my best with my hands and spread this out evenly so it cooks evenly throughout. You could use sweet Italian sausage if you prefer. You probably have some turkey sausage that you could use. But my preference is hot Italian sausage. I like a little spice. In fact, I'm probably going to add some red pepper flakes to this dish to spice it up just a little bit more. Even though there's hot Italian sausage in here, I like a little bit more spice than the average person. All right, we have this sizzling down. spoon. See, the fat is releasing and somewhat deglazing this pot. Give it another couple minutes and the sausage will be done. Okay, the sausage has been cooking for around 4 or 5 minutes. Nice and golden brown. I am going to take it out and just show you what it looks like. Beautiful. I'm going to take this out. Some people like to take the sausage grease out of the dish. I leave it in. When I add a little bit more, actually I don't even know if I'm going to need any more olive oil, but I'm going to cook the onions and the garlic in the fat that was released from the sausage and the pancetta. I just like it better that way. It adds a little bit of an orange color to the dish, but you can't really beat the flavor. All right, so I took those 2 cloves of garlic, I diced them up. I'll take my 1 large red onion, introduce that to the dish, and we're going to sweat this down for 3 to 5 minutes. I would say 3 minutes based on the heat of this will be adequate to get this nice and sweated out. I don't need to add any olive oil. I'm looking at this right now. There's a nice coating of oils and juices on this. And it's just going to sweat out these onions and garlic. Almost forgot. I have some dried rosemary. I'm just going to crumble it into the dish. This will give a really nice aroma and perfume to the dish. I'm not going to leave the sticks in, but most of the branches. I'm looking forward to spring because my rosemary will come back. I'll have some parsley, cilantro, all the herbs that I love to cook with. I've been really jonesing. A lot of the herbs that I use have been dried out, but that's about to change in a couple weeks. All right, I said I was going to add a little bit of pepper to the dish, and I just wanted to let you know I'm going to add this very special hot pepper that I bought when I was in Italy. I was on my way back, and I really was looking for some herbs and things to bring. And at the airport they had these beautiful dried red peppers. I wouldn't recommend doing this. Usually it's better to chop this with a knife, but I've got some experience in doing this. You want to make sure you do not touch your eyes or your nose or anything on your face after you touch this hot chili. I mean, this is smoking hot. It's going to add a very nice little kick to it, and it's going to be nice, really, really nice. So you could use any red pepper flakes, but I figured since this is a nice Italian Tuscan dish, I'd add the pepper that I got in Italy. Okay, second to last step before we add the kale. We've got some heavy cream. I'm going to measure 1 cup of heavy cream here. Let's see. There we go. I'm just going to spread that out evenly. One of the things I like to do is get a little bit of broth, make sure I get as much of the heavy cream in the dish as possible. Now I'm just going to stir this a little bit at 12 o'clock, a little bit at 3 o'clock, a little bit at 6 o'clock, and a little bit back at noon. 9 o'clock, noon, you get the idea. Just make sure that the heavy cream is dispersed nice and evenly. I'm going to bring the flame down to a low, and I'm going to place the lid on top of this, and in another 15-20 minutes we'll be ready to add the kale. Okay, the soup has been cooking for a little over a half hour. I am going to give it a nice little mix here, and I'm going to introduce the kale. Just mix that in here. You're going to let this sit with the kale for maybe 10-15 minutes, and it's going to be ready to serve. Looks like it's too much kale, but it's not. It's all gonna get reduced down. That's gonna really thicken up the soup. Some people like to put some flour in the soup in order to make it thick, but with all this kale and the juices, this will be thick enough and rich enough without any of the heaviness of adding any flour to the dish. So we'll mix this in, let it sit for around 15 minutes. We'll come back and take a look at how it's cooked down and do a little taste test. The soup has been cooking for 15-20 minutes. If you come and take a look at it, it has gotten nice and thick. The kale has cooked down, and we're going to plate this right here. A couple of ladlefuls of the soup. What I like to do is I'm going to add some pecorino romano right on top. So you can add Parmesan, whatever you have, but I like pecorino romano. It's a little bit salty. And we just happen to have some focaccia laying around. You could put it on there, but one of the things I like to do is just break it into little pieces of, almost like a crouton inside the soup. Little fresh ground pepper. And so you take a look at this, you've got the sausage, you got the kale, you can see the cannellini beans, you can see the potatoes, they're nice and soft. And we are going to give this a try. A little focaccia in there. You can't see the pancetta, but it's in there. This soup smells so good. My daughter was dead asleep, and she smelled the aroma, and she came downstairs and she said, "What is going on?" And this is what's going on. So we're going to give this a try. As my cousin Vinny would say, this is banging, and it's also saporito. I hope you enjoyed this dish. Buon appetito.